I've been trying to figure out whether I'm going to make this a short video, long video, whatever the case may be. There's a couple things I definitely want to talk about. Number one is Jalen Carter and obviously him getting sued and the involvement of what's going on with this whole entire thing. Okay, so I don't want to make it too long of a video on it, but I just want to kind of read the article to you guys and then kind of react to it. I already read it, and I kind of have some things to say about it, you know, to see if it makes sense to you guys with this Jalen Carter stuff, what's going on because of the crash, you know, obviously the street racing back in January, you know, so a lot going on there. Secondly, CBS has named a specific player to a specific position group that the Eagles are apparently still going to go after, which makes absolutely no sense. Okay. These top landing spots, and the Eagles are almost like number one in every damn category. I just don't get it at this point, but I just want to go over those two things. I'll try not to rant too much or make it long, but I definitely have to get into the whole thing. So, yeah, let's get straight into it.
Because I've seen enough horror movies to know any weirdo wearing a mask is never friendly.
Yo, what is going on, guys? I hope everyone is enjoying the start of their weekend. We are days away from Eagles training camp, but this is going to be half of a football video and half of a what's going on with one of our players video, and that is Jalen Carter, that is apparently getting sued by somebody that was involved in the you know, the street racing back in January. So I want to read this article real quick. I don't want to go too crazy on it and spend 15-18 minutes on this. I just want to give my opinion on it and give my reaction on it. You know, there's a lot of blame to go around with this. Obviously, back in January, and, you know, obviously, you know, Jalen Carter caught a big break in a lot of situations. You know, not for everybody, obviously, but, you know, I kind of want to read this real quick and just give my perspective on it and see what you guys think about it. So, it says, University of Georgia employee who was injured in the January crash that killed football player Devin Willock and recruiting analyst Chandler LaCroix has filed a lawsuit against the UGA Athletic Association, Jalen Carter, and others. Willock and LaCroix died in the crash on January 15th, just hours after the team celebrated back-to-back national championships with a parade and a ceremony. The crash happened around 2:45 a.m. Another staff member, Victoria Bowles, which this is the one that's suing Jalen Carter, was one of the two other people in the Ford Expedition driven by LaCroix who survived the high-speed crash. In her lawsuit, Bowles' attorneys say she suffered a spinal cord injury sufficient to cause leakage of cerebrospinal fluid, fractured her ribs, vertebrae, teeth, and clavicle, lacerated her kidney and liver, and punctured her lung. She also claims that injuries in her head have left her with neurological damage. Bowles filed a lawsuit on Wednesday and named the nonprofit UGA Athletic Association, former UGA star Jalen Carter, Carter's company, Breadman Jalen LLC, the administrator of LaCroix's estate, and 5 John Does as defendants. The toxicology report indicated that LaCroix's blood alcohol level was 0.197 at the time of the crash. The legal blood alcohol limit is 0.08. Authorities also stated the evidence suggested LaCroix's expedition was traveling at about 104 miles per hour shortly before the crash. In the filing, Bowles' lawyer said she was unaware when she got into the SUV that LaCroix may have been illegally intoxicated and did not know that LaCroix and defendant Carter would engage in street racing. The investigation found that SUV LaCroix was driving and Carter's vehicle were operating in a manner consistent with racing shortly after leaving the downtown Athens area. Police say the evidence showed that LaCroix and Carter's vehicle switched lanes, drove into Carter center turn lane and opposite lanes of travel, and were driving at high speeds in the apparent attempt to outdistance each other shortly before the crash. During the 45 seconds or less during which LaCroix and defendant Carter began street racing on Barnett Shoals Road, Miss Bowles verbally protested LaCroix's speed. The filling reads, LaCroix ignored Miss Bowles. So, I mean, there's a lot more to even say here. There's reports that LaCroix was not supposed to be using that vehicle, and there's a whole bunch of stuff in here. I don't think the rest of this even matters. The most important thing here is Bowles, the woman that was in LaCroix's car, is the one that is pretty much suing Jalen Carter, LaCroix's estate, his family. You know, she didn't know when she got into the car with LaCroix that he was fully intoxicated. Who knows if that's right or wrong, because the two people in that car are no longer here anymore. So they can't defend themselves. They can't say that she's wrong. Okay, she could have been well aware that LaCroix was fully intoxicated. Okay, Jalen Carter was driving the other car, a totally different car that she was in. Okay, now here's what I don't get here. Now, I understand she's pretty much suing everybody that was involved. Okay? She's just trying to get some compensation for all the injuries that she had: punctured lung, lacerated kidney, you name it, vertebrae, spinal, clavicle. I mean, all that stuff is horrible. Okay? I mean, who knows if she was even wearing a seatbelt at that point, or anybody was, really. Jalen Carter, obviously, when we heard about the news, and this was, obviously in January, and, he was slated to be a first-round pick in this draft this year. And between Jalen Carter and not being didn't participate really in the combine at all, had a really bad pro day, and, just a lot was going on here. Now, the Philadelphia Eagles, like to give players second chances. I think we pretty much know that at this point. The Eagles have done their homework on Jalen Carter. They didn't just draft him and say, whatever happens, happens. No, they've done their homework. Okay, they've called Georgia. You don't think they've talked to people around that building of that school to see what this guy is like? You don't think they talked to Nakobe Dean, Jordan Davis? Trust me, there has been a lot of talk. About Jalen Carter and what was going to happen here. And if you were Jalen Carter in the situation, and trust me, he shouldn't have been street racing. There's no excuse for it. There's absolutely, number one, no excuse for it. But for me, at least, I believe in second chances. I believe in guys that could turn themselves around. And trust me, we've had players in the past that have got big second chances. Worse, I don't know, is as bad, depending on how you take it, or worse than this. Okay. Jalen Carter should have not been street racing. That's plain and simple. That's just what it is. As a player, as someone that's going to make millions of dollars, okay, he gets his money. Then there's rumors of him being, that there are people out there that are still mad about it. There are people that are not going to get over it, and I understand that. He was involved in it heavily. There was rumors that Jalen Carter fled the scene and came back, or he didn't really fled the scene. He kind of did, and then he kind of stayed in the area and came back. So I don't know if that was true. There was rumors about that, and that hasn't really been 100% news at this point. But for the people that passed away, yeah, LaCroix, was quadruple over the amount intoxicated, and another person dying as well. You know what I mean? So you had two people that lost their lives because of drunk driving and a street race. And she gets into a car with LaCroix and not knowing, we don't know. We don't know if she's telling the truth or whatnot, if she even knows that he was intoxicated. She could be lying. I mean, who knows? She probably got into the car and knew that all of them were having a good time and they're going to go race. I mean, even if they were going to go street race, why would you even get into a car, period? Even if that's the case, you know what I mean? This will probably not stop. I don't think Jalen Carter will not get sued because he was in the other car. He was involved and he shouldn't have been there and he shouldn't have been doing it. There's no doubt. But I can understand if she was in Jalen Carter's car. If she was in his car and she got injured, okay, I get it. But she wasn't in his car. She was in LaCroix's car, the Ford Expedition. Okay? So it's just, you know what I mean? Trust me, I don't really talk about stuff like this, but when I read that today, I was just like, she's just trying to get as much from everybody and get compensated for injuries from every single person. All she's trying to do is sue everybody that was involved, even the people that she was in the car with, that she went in. She literally got into a car knowing they were going to street race. Okay, whether that's true or not, I don't know. Her knowing LaCroix's blood alcohol content, I have no idea. She could have, you know what I mean? Those two people are 6 feet under right now. They can't defend themselves. They can't tell her she's wrong. You know what I mean? So obviously the toxicology report says different, but you never know, there's never, she's not going to have someone fighting her about it. She's the only survivor of that car pretty much. But Jalen Carter was driving a completely different vehicle. And like I said, I was pissed off at the moment this happened because, I felt like it was going to hurt him. Because, guys, remember when Jalen Carter wouldn't, his agent promised Jalen Carter before the draft that you're getting drafted within the top 10. You're getting drafted. There's no doubt about it. You're going to be only visiting teams within the top 10. Remember, he wouldn't visit any teams outside the top 10. And I think getting drafted by the Philadelphia Eagles really changed his life. I think it did. Drafting him to another team, I don't know if it would have helped, but I think drafting him to the Philadelphia Eagles was the best thing that could happen for him because of the support group or the support system that he's going to have around him with Nakobe Dean, Nolan Smith, a guy, even, Jordan Davis was a guy that was a big mentor to Jalen Carter back in college. See, people talk about the bad things with Jalen Carter all the time. There was another article that came out the other day that there was a walk-on to Georgia, just a walk-on freshman or sophomore, something like that, okay? And a guy that, he couldn't afford lunch money every day, and Jalen Carter took money out of his scholarship to help him eat food every day. That was another thing that came out that nobody talks about because it's good news. Who wants to hear good news? Nobody does. Everybody is just negative. Everybody wants to hear bad shit every single day because it's entertaining. That's why. When you embarrass somebody on the internet, when somebody is totally embarrassed, when somebody's doing something wrong, everybody wants to read it. Everybody wants to be involved in it because there's just miserable fucking people out there. That's the way it is every single day in this world. Okay? So that's all I really wanted to go over. Like I said, Jalen Carter should not have been involved in this shit at all. Okay? Whether you agree or disagree of how much involvement he had and whether he fled the scene, didn't flee the scene, it's all bad. It's really bad. Shouldn't have done that at all. Okay? But at this point, I feel like, you have, as a man, you have time to change yourself. You have time to change it around. And I think getting drafted to this team, is going to make the big difference. And I think it made the big difference. The emotions that he had getting drafted, but not even just that, not even, before Reuben Frank's stupid remarks, right after he got drafted. But the Eagles have done their homework. And if Howie Roseman is defending this man like there's no tomorrow, then I feel like the Eagles have made a really good decision or a very good choice, a decision to give this man a second chance. Okay. The Eagles could have changed their mind last second and just passed on him. They could have just passed on him and drafted Bijan, or I don't know. They could have just done something else, done something different. But if the Eagles, I understand it's just sports and these front offices don't care about play. I have to say, for the Philadelphia Eagles and the front office with Howie Roseman, they do their homework on players, okay? And trust me, if it was a lot worse, if Jalen Carter did a lot worse than this, he wouldn't have got drafted. The Eagles wouldn't have dealt with that. They've done a lot of homework, and they spoke to a lot of players, and a lot of teammates that were with him are with the Philadelphia Eagles now. So there's been a lot of feedback going back and forth. And obviously the visit from Jalen Carter coming to the NovaCare complex was a very, very good visit. And obviously you have to ask who he's connected to behind the scenes to see, how is he as a real person? How is he off the field? I think getting drafted to Philadelphia really changed his life. I really did. I think not only just from I'm going to make millions and be a football player perspective. I'm talking from a mental perspective. I'm talking about really going into a direction, a good direction in your life. And I feel like, that's been the case. There's going to be people out there that, I've gotten comments, like if I say anything good about Jalen Carter, like, oh, he did this and he did that. How could you, guys that I've never even seen on the channel or comment on the channel before. It's very sad. You know what I mean? So it's already done. We have no choice. You know what I mean? He's here. You know what I mean? So I just wanted to bring that up because I thought it was just really important. I know we went through 14 and a half minutes of it, but I didn't want to talk about it for long. But like I said, rest in peace to the people that died in that crash. And it's horrible, just absolutely horrible, and not making better decisions. So we can all learn from this. Make better decisions. Don't put yourself in bad situations going forward. So I don't think Carter's going to get sued. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what they think what she thinks that she's going to get out of him when he was in a totally different car. You know what I mean? So, I get it. He was involved. but in a different car. It's, he didn't cause her injuries. The driver caused her injuries, which was LaCroix. So I get it. So I just wanted to go over that real quick and to see what you guys think about it. That's all. Secondly, yes, we talked about, CBS has got to chill out here. This is what I don't get why are there reporters out there that are still putting running backs or connecting running backs to the Philadelphia Eagles? And Josh Jacobs is one of those names. What has he got? He's got a $10 million cap hit. Apparently, there's a lot of friction with Josh Jacobs and the Las Vegas Raiders right now that he wants a new contract. He doesn't want to show up to training camp until a new extension, something gets done. And apparently, it's going to be right to the wire if an extension is going to happen with Josh Jacobs. Like I said, $10 million cap hit last year of his deal. Okay? I get it. You know what I mean? The Eagles let go of Miles Sanders. And then once that happened, once we kind of knew that Miles Sanders was leaving, this is before we picked up Rashad Penny and DeAndre Swift, Josh Jacobs was obviously on the top of the list for the Philadelphia Eagles, which it was true or not. Statistically, Josh Jacobs is better, no doubt. Statistically, on the stat sheet, yes, he is 1,000,000% a lot better than Miles Sanders. But, not only, the contract is not a big deal, but the Eagles aren't paying running backs. They don't want to pay running backs. Why do you think Dalvin Cook's still a free agent right now? Because nobody wants to pay that position. The way Dalvin Cook is going to get paid, either someone is just going to take a swing at what he wants number-wise, or someone's going to get injured during training camp and they're going to have no choice but to give a long-term extension to a very good running back like Dalvin Cook. That's why I didn't understand why people wanted Dalvin Cook, because his cap numbers were it was like $16 to $19 million. It was insane. It was a lot of money. But obviously you can extend him and lower the cap hits. I totally get that. The Eagles didn't want to get into a bidding war with other teams on signing a free agent. Okay, Josh Jacobs was definitely a target for the Eagles if that was even true. There was Derrick Henry. It was, there was a few guys, you know what I mean? But, the Eagles are paying Rashad Penny $600,000 for this year with incentives. Okay, the cap number, what is he, 600 against cap? The cap number for DeAndre Swift, a 25 fourth-round pick, which is nothing, which we got him for nothing. What, 1.7, 1.8, $1.9 million cap hit this year. They are low-risk, high-reward signings. The Eagles don't pay linebackers. The Eagles don't pay running backs. The running backs, Joe Mixon, he just restructured his contract with the Bengals because he wants to win a Super Bowl. Like, that's the only reason why he restructured, because he wants to stay with Cincinnati for another year. And obviously, cash in on a Super Bowl. You know what I mean? That's what he wants to do. But, that's why the Eagles make a move like this. The Eagles got low-risk, high-reward moves at running back. And yes, if healthy, this is going to be probably one of the best running back cores in the NFL. There's no doubt about it. DeAndre Swift, 100% healthy, can get you 1,000 yards. Rashad Penny, okay, between the tackle, big back, great in the open field, just so good in open space, physical, just so great. Can get you 1,000 yards. Kenneth Gainwell probably will not get 1,000 yards this year, but still going to be a very productive running back. And obviously Boston Scott being here too will be a full-time special teamer, and we'll move up to the running. If somebody gets injured, Boston Scott will be a part of that running back core most likely. Okay, so I don't know if people are just bored, and I don't know why running backs are still being connected to the Philadelphia Eagles, okay, as potential big landing spots, which to me we're done at running back. There's no adding another running back. Why would we add Dalvin? Why? That's what I'm saying. That's the whole point of it. Why are running backs still available? Why is Dalvin Cook so available since he's so good? Because nobody wants to pay a fucking number like that. No team wants to do it. If you have a good offensive line, you don't need to spend so much money on top running back talent. To me, it makes no sense. It doesn't. If you draft one, it's different. If you draft one in the first round, I think it's perfectly different because You're not paying, you're paying him a first round talent type contract, which isn't going to be what, if he gets 3 1,000 yard seasons, then you're going to have to pay. Then, that's just what it is. When I wanted to, at least if we were going to attempt to draft Bijan, I would have, obviously you're going to have him for 4 years with a 5th year option. I would rather pay a running back a 5th year option than pay a big extension for a running back. Teams would rather pay a 5th year option. They would rather pick up a 5th year option. They would rather, you know what I mean? That's what the teams would rather do than, pay a running back that much money. It's just, I don't know what the numbers are for certain running backs, what they want. I don't even know what Dalvin Cook wants, but obviously everybody is staying away from him. I'm seeing rumors that there are teams interested, but no one's pulling the trigger on it because nobody wants to pay that. So when the Eagles let go of Miles Sanders, the Eagles could have, $6 million a year. Who cares? Yeah, 4-year deal, $6 million a year. They could have afforded that. There's no doubt they could have afforded it. But their offensive line is so good. This offensive line is so good. Obviously, whether it's Cam Jurgens or tylersteen at right guard, it doesn't even matter. Like we're a team now that I'm not saying you could throw like a practice squad player at running back and he'll be a monster. Even though I think Trey Sermon would play really well behind this offensive line. But I'm not saying you got to throw anybody back there, but you could throw a mid-tier type talent there. I feel like we have more than mid-tier talents this year. I think we have high-caliber talents in Rashad Penny and DeAndre Swift. High-caliber talents, if healthy. That's a big if, okay? So I don't know why we're still being connected to a running back position. Like, still, I mean, why not linebacker? Why not, maybe another defensive end and Yannick Ngakoue, or I don't know, something like that. Another safety. I have no idea. 4 open roster spots for the Philadelphia Eagles, and there's plenty of things to, there's plenty to do here. You know what I mean? They can always pick up another offensive lineman or our backup guy, or I don't know, something. You know what I mean? Running back is far from my mind, as in, signing another guy. Rashad Penny's not going to get cut. Swift's not going to get cut. You know what I mean? I think they'll end up keeping 4 running backs, most likely, probably. I mean, they have to, because Boston Scott's going to be playing special teams full time. These are low risk, high reward for a reason, okay? And Eagles gave up absolutely nothing for both of those players, and they were cheap because, I think we kind of stole Swift a little bit. Jahmyr Gibbs was a top 13 pick, but still, I think Swift is a total steal at the number he's getting against the cap this year. Rashad Penny, if healthy, is a dominant. If you're Rashad Penny going in the free agency this past offseason, what team would you go to? The Philadelphia Eagles. Why? They were just in the Super Bowl. They had the number 1 offensive line in the league. I'm not being biased. They had the number 1 offensive line in the league. What's going to give you a better chance of getting another contract? Yeah, being with the Philadelphia Eagles and an RPO read option quarterback that's going to really stretch out these defenses with all these weapons, but your receivers, your tight ends, I don't know how defenses are going to defend this. So Josh Jacobs, no, why are they still doing this? I have no idea. I just wanted to rant on that real quick because I thought it was just really important going forward. But other than that, we've already been through 23 minutes of this video. And if you guys last this long, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you like the video as well for more Eagles content every single day. We are just days away from Eagles training camp. And I hope you guys have a fantastic day. I'll see you on the next one. SHAKESQUAD, follow us. Peace out, guys. Peace.